A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Muthanayak, and as always, let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Certain individuals are attempting to deprive the government of due credit for regaining the GSP Plus concession, an accusation from the President. Former Deputy Minister H.R. Mitrapala criticizes the actions of the joint opposition.
අද ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ තියෙන මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂගේ හස්තේ මේ ඇටේ හපනවා මේ මෛත්‍රීපාලගේ ඇටේ හයියයි මේක හපන්න අමාරුයි. තව අවුරුදු 3ක් මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති විධායක මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන එසා මෝඩ තීන්දුව වලට ගිහිලා විනාශ වෙන්න එපා.
Trade unions warn of a possible hike in water tariffs. Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayaka greeted by a volley of hooting and jeering at a demonstration in Jaila. Large-scale gravel mining causes an entire village to suffer.
කඳු සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නතර කරලා මේ විනාශ කරලා තියෙන්නේ මේ වෙලේ.
ඒ වගකීම් පැහැර හරින රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන් නින්දා තමයි අද මේ ගමේ මිනිස්සු ගොඩක් දුක් විඳින්නේ.
A drone crashes into the Ruan Valley Mahasaya.
President Maithripala Sirisena says certain individuals are attempting to deny the government its due respect for restoring the GSP Plus trade concession for Sri Lanka. The President expressed these views during a program held to promote religious harmony following the launch of the Galle District President's Public Service Initiative at Sri Dhamma Vidyalaya in Labuduwa in Galle yesterday.
GST සහනය පෙරේදා ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළාට පස්සේ
when it was announced the day before yesterday that the GSP concession would be restored, a newspaper reported that the European Union is providing the GSP concession to Sri Lanka on the condition of introducing a federal system in this country. On one hand, I'm shocked and disappointed that media freedom is being used in this manner. When reporting news, the intent should be to guide the country positively and to report the truth to society. But I'm disappointed that the media has become uncivilized to the extent that a newspaper will report on the front page, just after the GSP concession is restored, that it was conditional on the introduction of a federal system in order to deny the government the due respect.
1,000 ropes were presented to Buddhist monks at this event, while fixed deposit certificates and deeds were also gifted to promote the development of places of worship.
The day after Thai Pongal, Hindu devotees celebrate Patti Pongal to show gratitude to the milk-giving cow.
Our cameras captured the manner in which Hindu devotees celebrated Patti Pongal across the island. Among the rituals observed on Patti Pongal are the cleaning of the paddock, the washing of the cattle and feeding the cattle sweet milk rice, also known as pongal and fruits. These rituals are observed to show gratitude to the cow, who plays an important role in the farmer's life. In many parts of India too, Hindus celebrated Patti Pongal today.
Meanwhile, a state celebration of the Pongal festival was held in Nuwara today under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
A large crowd, including several ministers and MPs, attended the celebratory event held at the Nuwara Municipal Council grounds. The event was made colourful by Hindu religious observances and cultural performances. The Tamil people in the hill country and in Nuwara can now say that they enjoy the same rights as the other Tamil, Sinhala and Muslim people across the country. They are treated equally. Many people here are engaged in small businesses. On the 23rd of March, we will commence a program to provide self-empowerment loans to talented people at these shops through the central bank and other banks. We are here to provide new economy, to provide new income avenues, to provide knowledge to the Tamil people here and to give them strength. As the Minister of Plantation Industries, I'm trying to bring the 28 plantation companies together. I wish to clearly state that this year we will hold talks with the plantation companies and work towards ensuring the rights of estate workers.
Speaking to News First today, Dr. Harsha De Silva, Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, made clarifications regarding Sri Lanka regarding the GSP Plus trade concession from the EU.
In fact, we first received the GSP Plus after discussions the 2002-2004 government had with the European Union. The European Commission wrote to the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, GLP Professor, in June 2010 and requested him to submit an application for the renewal of GSP Plus. However, they did not do so. And only in 2010, after the new government came to office, we replied that letter. And I remember we did it the day after we repealed the 18th Amendment to the Constitution and introduced the 19th Amendment. After that, we had multiple rounds of discussions with the European Commission. After multiple rounds of discussions, we submitted an official application in July of 2016. And on the 11th of January 2017, the European Commission successfully accepted our application for GSP Plus, and they proposed to the European Council and the European Parliament that Sri Lanka be given the GSP Plus benefit, which is a huge, enormous benefit to exporters, which will let them export duty-free to the European Union. The fact of the matter is we are improving the rights of all human beings. We are improving the rule of law. We are improving the governance structures. We are giving people freedom of information. These are all promises that we made prior to the January 8th election. And it is what is called a positive externality of our good work that we are being able to first apply and then obtain GSP Plus.
Deputy Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ajit P. Perera expressed his views about the GSP Plus concession today.
Former President Kurunegala District Parliamentarian Mahinda Rajapaksa has said that there was no problem after losing the GSP concession. Neither did we have any benefits when we had it. The fact that this statement was made by a person who held the position of Minister of Finance is a clear example of political hypocrisy. The Council of the European Union has to approve this proposal at the final stage, and it has to receive the approval of the European Parliament. We believe that this will be included in the agenda of the European Parliament in the next 2 months. If not, it will take 2 more months for the next parliamentary session of the European Parliament. That will be a total of 4 months. We believe that the EU Parliament will debate this in 2 months.
Speaking in Dharaniyagala today, former Deputy Minister H.R. Mitrapala commented on the current political state of affairs in the country.
Maithripala Sirisena sought power to become the president. I did not vote for him. I voted for Mahinda Rajapaksa. But our candidate was defeated. Maithripala Sirisena was victorious. After his victory, when he became chairman of the SLFP, we automatically fell at his feet. I automatically fall under Maithripala Sirisena. I'm not a person who will leave the party. I will not leave the party. Therefore, I call on everyone not to divide this party. Today, Mahinda Rajapaksa is grinding his jaws on the SLFP. But the seed of the party is with Maithripala Sirisena, and it is strong. Maithripala Sirisena will be the executive president of this country for another 3 years. Do not make foolish decisions and self-destruct.
The Minister of Power and Renewable Energy says the government is facing a challenge in ensuring an uninterrupted power supply due to the prevailing dry weather. Meanwhile, generator number 1 at the Norachole power plant remains inoperational.
All 3 generators at the Norachole coal power plant malfunctioned due to the breakdown which took place on the 15th of October last year. Though generators number 2 and 3 were restored within a few days, the same could not be done for generator number 1. The media spokesperson at the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, Sulakshana Jayawardena, said that while the generator is functional, it is still being tested. Given the prevailing drought, 12 to 15% of the country's daily energy requirement was generated through hydropower. This is because the capacity of reservoirs under the Mahaveli project has declined to 40%. The water capacity at the Kotmale reservoir is 60%. The Ceylon Electricity Board said the daily energy requirement at present is 35 to 40 gigawatts per hour. To generate this amount, over 600 megawatts will have to be added to the national grid from private power plants. Minister of Power and Renewable Energy, Ranjit Siamala-Pitia, says that measures are being taken to provide an uninterrupted power supply despite the prevailing drought. The minister made this statement at an event held to lay the foundation stone for the proposed Electricity Consumer Services Centre in Daraniyagala.
We are facing the greatest drought since 2006. If you collectively look at the Randenigala, Victoria and Samanala reservoirs, we only have 36% of the total capacity of water we should generally have. The Department of Meteorology says that this situation could persist for the next 2 to 5 months. So we have a big challenge on our hands, which we are ready for. The challenge is to provide a continuous supply of electricity. How do we supply electricity when 40% of it becomes inactive? We have to find alternatives to supply this 40%. The alternatives are most likely diesel or coal or whatever can be provided at a low cost. This must be done in a way the public wouldn't be burdened. We are facing a major crisis. The biggest issue we had was the fact that one of the generators at Norochole was inoperational for over a month and a half. However, yesterday, we were able to restore generator number 1. I believe that we would be able to make the generator fully functional in about a day or two. Running a grid without hydropower is extremely challenging. Tenders have been called under an open tender procedure to purchase 60 megawatts of emergency power. We have also received instructions from the Committee on Economic Affairs to be prepared to call for tenders for an additional 110 megawatts.
Trade unions warn that water tariffs could rise in the near future due to the irregularities in the implementation of projects of the National Water Supply and Drainage Board and as a result of handing over the task of purifying water to the private sector. This statement was made at a media briefing convened by the Water Supply and Drainage Employees Union.
When commercial loans are obtained for the supply of common facilities as this, the interest rate climbs to around 8 to 14%. So these projects are being implemented by obtaining loans from local banks at such high interest rates. This is the reason why an announcement has been made that there should be a hike in water tariffs. The actual cause behind this hike is the arbitrary and weak financial procedure which is followed. Moreover, the Water Supply and Drainage Board has fallen into a more severe crisis. Now measures are in place for initiation of a water purification plant to be established in Valivita. The water which is produced here will be given to the Water Board for 35 rupees per unit. That is what has been proposed. So when this is purchased for 35 rupees, it will obviously come to around 50 to 60 rupees. Then the question is, how much will it be sold to the people for? What happens through the system is a clear hike in water tariffs.
The prevailing drought has taken a severe toll across the island, with farmers unable to grow crops due to the lack of water, while others are struggling to find water to drink.
The lack of rainfall has decimated crop yields across the island. While 800,000 hectares of paddy fields are cultivated during the Maha season, this time farmers have only been allowed to cultivate less than half that amount, or about 350,000 hectares. In spite of this, about 40% of the land that has been cultivated is at risk due to the shortage of water. In Sri Lanka's main rice-producing district of Ampara, farmers have only cultivated about 21,000 hectares. 40% of the crops cultivated in the district have already withered away without life-giving water.
The department only has the capacity to supply water until the 15th of March. At present, agrarian wells are being dug in at risk areas to save crops.
Farmers' associations are calling on the government to act immediately to mitigate the problems faced by agrarian communities.
Whatever the farmers have has been used as collateral for bank loans to cultivate their fields. They have no means of repaying these loans. When the new school term begins, they have to purchase equipment for their children, and they also have to consider the Sinhala Tamil New Year. This has caused farmers to undergo severe stress, and we call on the government to please provide fair compensation to the farmers at a minimum of 50,000 rupees per acre.
As the drought persists, the supply of pipe-borne water has been limited in several areas.
With past experience, we have seen that action is only taken whenever a situation arises, and afterwards they say they do not have funds, there aren't enough workers, and that there are no facilities. The people suffer as a result. We ask that they immediately take action to allocate funding for bowsers, workers and other facilities to prevent the suffering that the people will have to undergo.
The northwestern coast of Sri Lanka has gained notoriety in the recent past due to the ongoing smuggling rackets.
Kalpiti on the northwestern coast of Sri Lanka is home to a large fisheries community and is growing in popularity as a tourist hotspot. However, at present, these fishermen who battle the waves to feed their families are unable to freely engage in their trade due to illegal activity being carried out by certain persons under the guise of fishing. These images bear testament to the fact that the Kalpiti coast is being used to a great extent to smuggle illicit items including Kerala ganja and other drugs. People smuggle ganja through here. They go to India and bring it back in their boats. No one inspects them. This is being done by prominent people. They have the law in their hands. We are ordinary folk. We use a line to catch a fish and are content with our lives. They smuggle in various items including ganja, kg and liquor. Sometimes they dump it at sea. We have even hauled it out of the water and handed it over to the Navy. We see many things and we are afraid to take it because we will face problems and we have to go from police station to police station. How can we do that? We have bought these boats with loans, and what happens to us when we have to go from courtroom to courtroom? It will be troublesome for our children too. We face many such issues. News First made inquiries about the fishermen's complaints from the spokesperson of the Sri Lankan Navy, Captain Akram Alavi. Captain Alavi noted that the Sri Lankan Navy is engaged in ongoing operations using intelligence reports and regular patrols at sea to arrest smugglers.
Welcome back here with News First. A tense situation arose when Deputy Minister of Social Empowerment and Welfare Ranjan Ramanayaka arrived in the Dalagama area in Dehigahawatha, Jayala, where a protest was being held. Residents of Dalagama engaged in a protest today over the reclamation of wetlands in the area. Area residents engaged in a demonstration charging that marshland in the area is being reclaimed in an illegal manner.
This is a 40-acre marshland. The richest people in Sri Lanka are reclaiming it. They are reclaiming the Muthurajavala Reserve. According to the law in the country, it is illegal to reclaim marshland. That is why the president banned this.
Mr. President, if you can hear us, please put a stop to this, because this will harm innocent people. According to our correspondent, traffic movement on the Colombo-Negombo main road was hampered for over 2 hours due to the protest. Meanwhile, another group engaged in a protest in support of the reclaiming the marshland. They claim that it would lead to the development of the village.
The youth and the elderly agreed to this because it would bring about a brighter future for our village. This giant development project would bring a hotel complex and a housing complex. Reclaiming this marshland will not have any impact on the Muthurajavala Reserve.
Deputy Minister of Social Empowerment and Welfare Ranjan Ramanayaka, who arrived at the location during the protest, joined the group who were protesting against the reclamation of the marshland.
We obtained the GSP Plus concession because we protect the environment and promote reconciliation and the independence of the judiciary. As a result of the actions of these people, we might lose the GSP Plus concession. Certain politicians in our party have obtained money from this. Even those in the People's Alliance have taken money from this. They are the ones who have obtained 50,000. There are allegations against the government that Rishad Badiuddin is clearing the Vilpattu Forest Reserve. This is a similar destruction. I am not scared, even if it is one of our ministers who is to blame. I have the blessings of the President and the Prime Minister.
The protesters who supported the reclamation of the marshland welcomed the Deputy Minister with hoots and jeering. Residents of several villages in the Madapelle area in Divulupitiya say that they are experiencing a severe drinking water crisis due to large-scale quarrying for gravel, which has been ongoing for several years.
Gravel mining has taken place on this land in Madapelle for about 15 years. Area residents say that gravel has been mined in over 60 acres of land, while in many locations there are pits that are about 40 feet deep. These small hills brought a lot of beauty to our village. All of them have been flattened. These hills that provided the village with natural water springs have been destroyed.
This used to be a beautiful rubber plantation. On the other side, there is a waterway that flows into the paddy fields. There isn't a single drop of water in that waterway now. In the past, our wells never dried up, even in the most severe droughts.
According to our villagers, many wells in the area have dried up. The water shortage has even affected the animals in the area.
We had a very old well here. It has never dried up. It was a river that provided for the entire village. Even this has dried up now. We have 3 wells in our land and all 3 have dried up. We are now compelled to abandon our houses. All the vegetation in the area have dried up.
Area residents charge that though all relevant parties were informed of this situation, they are yet to receive a solution to the problem. Had the government officials acted promptly, a situation like this would not have arisen. It is because of government officials who do not do their duty that people have to suffer in this manner.
A new building and playground was declared open for students at the Dhamma School and Early Childhood Development Centre at the Mukulana Sri Sugata Abhinavaramaya in Moragoda Vavala in Dambulla under Phase 2 of the Newsfirst Gamatha initiative.
The project was undertaken under the guidance of the Chief Prelate of Japan and Chairman of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagalapati Sitra, while Sri Lankan Japanese businessman Samantha Pereira and businessman Johan Palmulla provided the funding for the project. The Mahasangha, led by the chief incumbent of the Sri Sugata Abhinavaramaya, Venerable Kosgaha Hinne Jinananda Thera, villagers and members of the Newsfirst team were present at the occasion.
In truth,
the Sirasa organization is not bound to carry out such tasks, but the Sirasa organization has come to such rural villages across Sri Lanka. They have inquired into the shortcomings and addressed these issues. We have seen the Sirasa logo. We see the faces of some of the people here on the Sirasa channel, but no one knows who the great man behind this is. There is no one here who has seen him. He is like a god. We do not see the gods, do we? The gods only help us. Since he travels all over the world, he has seen how our villages, our people and our children suffer. He has instructed that this task be undertaken as one step towards freeing the people from this suffering.
I'm truly happy that I have been able to support the Gamatha program from overseas.
They have gone from door to door through the Gamatha program. They walk for miles drinking water from coconut shells to quench their thirst, eating whatever they can find to fill their stomachs. They left behind their luxury lives, came to these villages, listened to the problems of these people and provided solutions. I do not have words to explain these benevolent deeds.
I am extremely happy that we are now able to take our children to a place close to our homes. There was no space to construct a building and establish a Dhamma school. There was never an opportunity to complete this task.
I express my gratitude 100 times over to Sirasa and the people who sponsored this project.
An individual has been arrested with regard to an incident where a drone flying over the sacred grounds in Anuradhapura had struck the Ruan Valley Mahasaya.
A remote-controlled drone capable of capturing aerial footage had been used around the Ruan Valley Saya Stupa last evening, following which the drone had collided on the stupa. A high-ranking officer of the police said that a separate investigation is underway with regard to the authorization allowed for the drone to be used at the premises.
3 school children from the Mao area are at risk of being deprived of an education due to a friendship between 2 school principals. We received footage today of an instance where the parents of these children met with the principal at the school they wish to enroll their children in. Meanwhile, an individual who slept with a lit barbecue grill in order to stave off the cold in his hotel room in Nuwara town has suffocated. 2 others who were also sleeping in the same room have been admitted to the hospital.
The group, who are residents of the Horogollaga Makalagedi Hena area in Nitambua, had come to Nuwara for the vacation over the long weekend. While the driver and his assistant, an employee at the hotel, were in one room, police said that a barbecue furnace was placed in the room to stave off the cold weather in the area and that the doors of the room had been shut. On the morning of the 13th, the 3 men were found unconscious by the owner of the establishment. They were then taken to hospital while the driver had died en route. Hospital sources said that the other 2 men are recovering from the ordeal. We ate and then we slept. Then he brought the charcoal and kept it close to us and we fell asleep. When we woke up, we couldn't speak or move. The deceased was a 39-year-old father of 2.
A new branch of the Building Materials Corporation was declared open in Lunukambehera today under the auspices of Minister Sajid Premadasa.
During the function, 434 families in the area were given financial aid and sanitary facilities worth up to 27,000 rupees each. 1.21 million rupees were spent for this purpose.
When talking about the rice industry, in the year 2014, the country's historic rice robbery took place. The loss incurred due to this robbery is 15,000 million rupees. When the country incurred such a loss, the gang of thieves who were ruling back then put all the money in their pockets and their bank accounts. A large proportion of the taxes that are being collected is going towards covering the losses caused by the corruption of the ministers and MPs in the previous government. We have been forced to raise taxes to cover the losses incurred due to this theft of national resources.
Taking a look at another story that we have been following here at News First. Three school children from the Maui area are at risk of being deprived of an education due to a friendship between 2 school principals. Now, we received footage today of an instance where the parents of these children met with the principal of the school they wished to enroll their children in.
ළමයි වෙනුවෙන් ළමයි මේකේ පුරව ගන්න කියලා ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරලා මට මේ මාත් එක්ක ඉන්න හිතවත් විදුහල්පතිවරු එකට ගිහිල්ලා එක රැස්වීම වල එකට රාජකාරී කරන අය. හරි. ඒ තරහ කරගන්න බෑ.
This conversation shed some light on the problem being faced by these parents who are attempting to enroll their 3 children in grades 9, 6 and 4 at this school in Maho. The parents wish to transfer their children from another school in the area because of the availability of English medium and since they are changing their place of residence.
We submitted an application and they told us that interviews for grade 6 will be held on the 23rd. They asked us to bring the other 2 children on the same day. They questioned the children and looked at their progress reports. Then they said that a Shramadana was being held on the 30th and that the mothers would be painting desks and chairs. I went there on the 30th and the mothers were cleaning up at the time. They had collected 100 rupees each and were painting the desks and chairs. I painted a desk and a chair for my daughter and put the name down as well.
You can follow the full story on our website www.newsfirst.lk. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.